Now where this one coming down to the wire. It can never be easy for this Bears team, but a win is a win. Tina Nguyen, Pat the designer, former Bears QB Jim Miller joining us right there via Zoom. Bears pick up their first division win of the season. They beat the Vikings 19-17 as Kairos Santos makes the 48-yard field goal there. I mean, Jim, I'll start with you. How do you describe what we saw in the fourth quarter? Because the first game in week one, right, Bears had an 11-point lead, saw a bit of a collapse there. They also had the lead going into the fourth quarter here, man, but today, different result that they won the game.
Yeah, you're right, Tina. I thought it was going to be deja vu, but hey, they find themselves in first place. Yes, the Lions still got to play tonight, but you know, I thought the Bears did a really good job of really managing the game. You think about how they ended the half, all right? They turned, Nashawn Wright gets the interception. The Bears got the field goal prior to that, and then they turned Minnesota away. So they doubled up. They came out the third quarter. They get a field goal. And so as the game was rolling on, they were doing the right things towards the end. They were salting the game away, wiping out the clock. Unfortunately, Santos misses a field goal that kind of disrupted that momentum, but they really managed the game beautifully of how you play with a lead. And then, unfortunately, Minnesota scores. Duvernay has to be the hero, and Caleb works his magic again. Really, they had to play conservative at the end, put themselves in the position to kick a field goal, and Santos comes through, which was good to see.
Pat, how's your heart?
Listen, the blood pressure is up, as it always is. Many Bears fans have increased their doctor bill this season. But listen, this is another situation where you had to go in there and find a way to get it done, and you had to take every single opportunity that you could. And I would say this is a game, I think if you saw on the TV broadcast, Caleb Williams' face at the end, Caleb was not pleased with the performance of the offense today. You could tell there was a lot of frustration. You saw him at times during this game where he was saying some choice words to Colston Loveland and Luther Burden, trying to get guys organized and get guys in order. But I thought overall you saw a game where you needed to just find a way to pull this one out at the end. And when you started to see the defense slip away, you go, okay, well, we got to turn it up one last time. I thought that the big run by Devin Duvernay to finish the game out, probably the play of the game, maybe a dog of the week. We'll talk about that in the future here. But I think just getting yourself into position, and then some of the play calling that we saw from Ben Johnson today, I'm not going to say there was a ton today that I was looking like this is phenomenal. I thought it was a struggle game for the offensive staff as a whole. But in that moment, as Jim said, you play conservative. You find a way to put yourself in a position to win the game. You trust Kairos Santos, who had missed the field goal already to that point in the game, and you build that confidence in him to hit yet again another game-winning field goal this season. Those are all things that I look at and I say, you know what? While there are criticisms of this game, I look at it as a performance that was good enough for a W today.
I'm just so happy. They won, picked up their first division win of the year. Bears are now 7-3 on the season. Want to remind everyone that's watching, especially on YouTube, be sure to leave a comment and we'll read your comments throughout the show. And of course, hashtag after the whistle. All right, let's dive a little bit deeper into this one and talk about this offense, Jim. First two offensive drives, man, couldn't even pick up a first down. What was going on with the offense today in Caleb Williams?
Yeah, I think both quarterbacks were juiced. They missed some throws early. Caleb had an opportunity on a double move go for Roma Doomsday. And, you know, obviously his receivers didn't help him out either. Late in the game, you know, DJ Moore drops an in cut. Fortunately, they picked up that first down there. But I just think because there's a lot on the line. These divisional games, the second half of the season, everybody knows. Certainly Minnesota's trying to crawl themselves back in the mix. And for Chicago, minimum, they're playing for a wild card, you know? So I think nerves are up, guys are nervous, and they just had to settle down a little bit. And then once they settled down, got into their game plan, I thought they played a really clean game. I think there was one illegal formation penalty. But again, much like week one, where they couldn't hold a lead, this week, they didn't hold the lead, but they played better. What I mean is they managed the lead better throughout that third quarter of salting the game away, doing what they need to do. That 4th and 5, you know, could have Ben Johnson have gone for it? Yeah, he could have. Analytics say, who was it? They even said on the broadcast, well, analytics says you should go here. What a stupid call. That was a great call by Ben Johnson to punt the ball. Minnesota hadn't done anything up to that point offensively and make them earn it. Yeah, Minnesota did earn it, and they got the lead, but the Bears still had their 3 timeouts. They get the good kickoff return, and you've got to rely on the rest of your team to do their job. And the Bears did that, and I thought they executed brilliantly. Earlier in the year, they would have blown that game just like they did week 1. They didn't lose their cool. They kept it cool, and that's why they come out with a win.
Kevin Byard talked this past week about how last year when they were in these kinds of positions, in these kinds of games, there was panic on the sideline. Yeah. This year, completely different. Ben Johnson talked about facing Brian Flores, right, and this defense. It's mentally and physically exhausting. Yeah. But, Pat, what do you make of the way Ben Johnson called the game today?
I thought it was a little bit up and down. You know, I thought there were, when you needed him to be the guy to call the right play, he was, right? But I thought there was a couple of times there where you were dominant in the run game. You were driving down the field, literally pushing people off of the ball with your offensive line. Yes, they were starting to sell out a little bit for it. But I thought there were a couple of times where you didn't need to get cute, that you got cute. You got Tyson Bagent in, you know, trying to add a little window dressing to the play. You're trying to run an outside zone run on that one, and it gets wrapped up pretty much immediately. To me, those are the moments where we've seen Ben Johnson do this in the past, and maybe this was something where versus a Brian Flores defense, he says you have to add a different wrinkle into the game where you can just run forward and get that last couple of yards. We saw DeAndre Swift do that in those tough moments when you needed him to drive you down the field and put you in a position to get a first down. So I would have liked to see him do those things a little bit differently in that moment. But at that point, right, we're nitpicking. I do agree with Jim on one thing, right? When the plays needed to be called and plays needed to be made, this team went out there and got the job done. I thought Ben Johnson did a great job. Once again, something we've had an issue with in this city, Chicago, managing his timeouts at the end of the game. You put Minnesota in a position where they had to start calling some of their timeouts to try and give themselves a win. And how he instilled confidence in a kicker that I think most of the city would say they are ready to move on from. Ben Johnson is saying, no, we're not. This is a guy that we can trust when the moment is highest, that we can put him out on the field and get the job done. I love the fact that he goes back to Cairo Santos in that moment. Was I a little bit stressed when I saw it bending left a little bit? I thought it might have gone out. Yeah, there was some stress there, but it bends back in and you get the big win. And Cairo looking confident the entire time. And so, to me, I think the one thing that will be under talked about in this game, and Jim, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, is divisional. Yeah. Divisional games, Jim, you've played in this division. Divisional games are higher stakes. It was the Bears trying to get their first divisional win. It's going to be a little bit different. So it doesn't matter that Minnesota's 4-5 and still trying to figure some things out themselves. They came to play like this was a life or death game, and I think the Bears showed this time out that, hey, we're here to play that way as well.
And I think, too, Ben Johnson, someone who obviously coached in Detroit, I feel like this week, even being in the locker room on Friday, I mean, these guys kind of had a sense of urgency, right, in knowing that we need to win this game. Yeah. We're 0-2 in the division, now 7-3. I know Detroit plays later on this evening. Green Bay, 6-3-1. Minnesota, 4-6 now. But, Jim, want to go back to you and ask you, from when it comes to Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift, how did you see Ben Johnson kind of divvy up the responsibilities there?
Yeah, again, I'm not going to deviate from what I believe. I do like how Swift, he can run hard when he needs to and get some tough yardage, but I still think Kyle Monangai, he's the meat tenderizer. I think we saw certain plays today when you need to get it, he's a hammerhead that just plows it forward, and he plows it forward with authority. So kind of like what Pat's talking about. On some of those third and shorts where you got Caleb Bagent in there, there's nothing wrong with me that's saying, hey, no, just leave Swift on the sideline. Let's bring in our hammerhead and get it done right now. We don't need to get cute about this. Let them know what's coming and let them try to stop it. Yeah. Because Kyle Monangai, I think when he's determined to do so, he can stick his nose down and get a good first down. But they ran the ball 39 times. I do like the balance. They threw it 32. They've got 39 run plays. I thought they ran it extremely effectively. We know that now because they were second in the league coming into this game, and they're going to continue to do that. All the play action pass stuff has really been set up off of this, and it's going to continue to bear fruits moving forward because teams are really struggling with it. It creates a conflict of interest and really has opened up some big plays. Unfortunately for the Bears today, they missed some of those, i.e. the play action pass in cut to DJ Moore. Yeah. They'll continue to get better at that, but that's where it needs to start and stop is the run game, and they did a nice job with distributing it today.
Can we talk about Caleb Williams some more?
Oh, 100%.
Because, I mean, the way he can escape pressure, man, and avoid getting sacked, Jim, what are you seeing in terms of how he's getting a feel for the pocket? I believe now 16 sacks in 10 games.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with him because I think, again, you see he's learning now. He's aware when to throw it away, knows when he should not take a sack. There was one time where I thought today, hey, man, you can't take that sack right there in that situation. But that was only once. He's getting better at it. I think he's managing a game better. I think they mentioned in the broadcast about his sideline mannerisms. Hey, don't give anybody anything. Just, be Joe Cool on the sideline. If you got to get after guys, get after guys. Let people know you're into this game. And I just think overall, just like what you said, Tina, there's a sense of urgency about him. There's a sense of awareness. You can see him managing the game a lot better. He's thinking the game, too, of plays that are going to set up. There was a play today, early, he hits Cole Kmet on a check down early in the year. He never would have did that. Yeah. That was his third read, and boop, boop, boop. He's like, they're already dropping deep. I'm just dumping it off to my tight end right now. So it's happening a lot quicker. And I'll say this, on those bootleg naked plays, he is way above average with his ability and awareness. Like when a guy's coming, a corner's coming screaming off the end, the ability to put his foot in the ground probably should drop a little deeper on those. I'm sure Ben Johnson's going to tell him, but that alone, just his athletic ability, I'm telling you, probably 99% of the quarterbacks in the league can't do what he did on his bootleg nakeds today, which he was a magician at that as well.
Yeah. It's something we talked about on the Chicago Bears podcast over on ESPN a ton. What he's doing with his sack rate this season, his pocket awareness, this is what we saw Josh Allen do when everybody was like, there's no way Josh Allen is going to be a good quarterback in this league. All of a sudden, he cut those sack numbers in half, and everybody was looking around and going, oh, man, he might be one of the best quarterbacks that we've seen in the league to this point. Like, seeing Caleb Williams do that, it truly is a very different conversation. I think so many people are focusing on the elusiveness, but it's the fact that a couple of times today, you saw free rushers coming. Caleb Williams peeks, knows they're there, keeps his eyes down the field, spins out of it to try and create something, and attempts to deliver the football. Now, today, that was a little bit off there, but as far as elusiveness, yes, he is shifty. He's somebody that's tough to bring down. Again, you saw a play today where, he's essentially in a headlock and somehow he gets out of it. But the fact that he's seeing it, still seeing what's happening down the field and putting that entire picture together, that's something that as Bears fans right now, there's still a lot that we can talk about with Caleb Williams that needs to improve. But right now, that is a massive improvement from the quarterback position.
We've got a few minutes left in our first block here. I got to talk about this defense because they continue to build their identity, right? Forcing turnovers, taking the ball away today. 2 interceptions by J.J. McCarthy. But, Jim, how will this defense stay intact, man? Because I'm a little worried, especially about the run defense.
Yeah, run defense, certainly. They really don't have the horses. They're trying to rotate guys in. It's really about defensive looks is what Dennis Allen is trying to do, and obviously timely blitzes when he tries to really game plan or predict what another offense is going to do. So they got gashed a little bit, but yet you see improvement. We even texted during the game about Noah Sewell. Yeah. Go back to week 1. He gets beat on a wheel route by Aaron Jones for a touchdown. That's the one that really affected the Bears late in the game when T.J. Edwards is out. Noah Sewell's got to play. Minnesota came back to that play. They just flipped their formation, ran it to the left side. Noah Sewell right there in position to make a play. It's an incompletion. But like you said, the turnovers, they're opportunistic defensively. Nashawn Wright, I mentioned his interception right before half. That couldn't have been more timely on that interception because it took away points from Minnesota. Minimum, they should have come away with a field goal right there. So I get J.J. McCarthy taking a shot, but either your guy gets it or nobody gets it. So Nashawn Wright played it brilliantly. Unfortunately, Nashawn Wright didn't play that play at the last part of the game correctly to what went to Addison for a touchdown. He beats in on the seam, didn't realize that Addison's on the outside. So defensively, he has to have more awareness from that standpoint. So I think opportunistic, they're not dominators, but I think they're thinking the game. Guys like Byard, You have certain players, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You got Montez Sweat. You got Grady Jarrett, who I thought played extremely well on the inside. You've got key players that are the glue of this defense, but they're not dominant, but they can outthink you with how they line up defensively, how they can trick you with their shifts and what they do coverage-wise and what they can do blitz-wise. So I really think it's really an IQ defense. It's not a dominating defense.
The Bears defense overall now with 22 takeaways, and yes, that still leads the NFL. We need to take our first time out here on After the Whistle. Coming up next, it is the return of our favorite segment, Who's Your Dog? You gotta bark for me, Pat, come on. Okay, there we go. And we'll also read more of your viewer comments, and then we'll talk about the NFC North standings as well. Stay with us.
I'm hype about a lot, if we're being real. I mean, DeAndre Swift, dog. Caleb Williams, dog. Can I get a Ben Johnson, dog?
We've got CJ Gardner-Johnson,
Dog.
and Caleb Williams,
Dog.
I'd like to add one more on top of that. Jake Moody,
Dog.
Oh, look at that. Is this thing catching on? We had a sign out there that says, Odunze is my dog. I like it, I like it. All right, time now for Who is Your Dog? I'm gonna go first. My dog of the day is Cairo Santos. I mean, I know he's had some tough misses throughout this season, dealt with some injuries as well. I feel like that was a given. But he missed a 45-yard field goal, came back, game-winning 48-yard field goal today to seal it for the Bears 19-17 over the Vikings. That is my dog of the day. Pat, who's yours?
Listen, I think if you're going to go anybody right now, you got to go Devin Duvernay. That was an exciting play. It was a big play. It was very opportunistic. I'm not going to lie to you. When I see him in the locker room this week, I am going to mess with him a little bit and be like, you got to get on that horse. I thought you had that. You got to get on that horse. But just a big play to set everything up for the Cairo Santos made field goal. I thought that it was really good to see a big special teams play from a special teams that has struggled pretty consistently this season.
Jim, who is your dog of the day?
I've got 3 dogs. Kevin Byard for setting the tone with his interception. And guess what? The 2 tight ends of the Bears. Cole Kmet, go look at him. He had 5 receptions today. He was running over guys. And Loveland had a big 3rd down conversion. It was huge in this game. So the tight end position, they are my dog. Give them one of those big chains, all right? They're the dogs.
Yeah. The big one with the spikes on the collar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how Jay Jettis had
the gaudier,
on,
the better.
I like how Jay Jettis had all the diamonds on. How they played today? Diamond dogs.
3 dogs of the day there from Jim Miller. All right, so we've got Cairo Santos, dog. We've got Devin Duvernay,
dog.
Cole Kmet,
Dog.
Colson Loveland,
Dog.
Kevin Byard.
Dog.
All right, let's talk about the NFC North now. So the Bears are 7-3, Green Bay 6-3-1 after beating the Giants, and then Minnesota 4-6. The Lions will play later tonight against the defending Super Bowl champs, the Eagles. Bears right now, do they have a shot at winning this division?
Listen, there's an opportunity here. I don't know if you've been on Twitter, Tina, and seen this, but there is a Philadelphia Eagles, Chicago Bears alliance between the fans, where the Eagles are really taking care of a lot of the NFC North division. We've taken care of everybody in the NFC East, so we need them to get the job done tonight. Keep the alliance strong here. But I think there's always an opportunity. You know, this is a very tough finish to the season, but you never know how this season is going to play out. And this Bears team has proven resilient. And you know what? At the end of the day, that's the most important thing. When the clock hits double zeros, are you going to be the more resilient team? Today was not a beautiful day for this team in all four quarters. I would guarantee you Ben Johnson probably has some very choice words for how the production went today when on the part we don't get to hear in the locker room. But you found a way to come away with a big divisional win. You've got a Green Bay Packers team that I don't know if we've watched a ton, but they're reeling a little bit, struggled today versus the Giants. Good to see them, I guess, if you're a Packers fan, get back in the win column, but you can't be beating your chest right now. But it does feel like there's a real opportunity here for you to take over. But Detroit's still scary.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt about that. Jim, what are your thoughts? Do the Bears have a chance?
Yeah.
I know we've got 7 games left in the season here.
Yeah, the window is there, like what Pat mentioned, but that would be icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the realistic approach is like what you said. Take care of your business in division, whether it's Green Bay. Let what happens outside the division, like tonight with Philadelphia and the Lions, that'll take care of itself. Worry about what you've got to do. I think the realistic approach is a wild card minimum for the Bears with how they're playing. And hey, with where the Bears have been, I think Bears fans would take that all day long and twice on Sunday. I know I would as a former Bear. I've witnessed how poorly they have played over the last 5 years, and this is really a great opportunity here. And I think minimum a wild card is really realistic.
I want to read a few viewer comments now. Nunya Business, great to see you again.
Welcome back.
It's not how you start.
Build this. But to me, this is the first real, your offseason was very successful. Your draft, I think now you're seeing 3 or 4 players start to, emerge in that feels very successful. As you've gotten into the season here, Ben Johnson has been everything and more that you've asked for. By the way, he's still figuring it out. Your offense right now is one of the best Bears offenses that we have seen in a very, very long time. You're a top 10 offense this season. Yeah. And so to me, like when you look at all of those things, and now to say this at any point in the season, this late in the season, the Chicago Bears 10 games into the season are sitting in first place until, we know what possibly could happen with Detroit tonight. But to say that you're this late in the season with a first place berth and still competing here, like this is a successful season. Does that mean that the season's going to finish perfectly? No. But what you can say right now is you put yourself in the best situation to be in first place right now, to win some of these games that are tough, and you're learning from the mistakes that you made previously to put yourself here.
Jim, a top 10 scoring offense right now. Did you expect this in Ben Johnson's first year?
Yeah, I did. I thought this had to be an offensive-led team. I've said it even back in the offseason. I said the Bears offense has to really take the way. This was the highest scoring division in the National Football League a year ago. Lions were scoring over 30 points. Green Bay was high 20s. Minnesota was in the 30s. So the Bears had to match point totals. So it had to be an offensive-led team. And now the Bears right now, they're in the high 20s score-wise. Granted, they didn't finish up there today, but coming into the game, they were 26.5 points a game. So I did expect this team to be an offensive-led team. And I think you guys both said something important there. Ben Johnson, this is what he's done. He had to create a winning culture, right? Everything is geared towards winning, whether he's got to call guys out, go for it on 4th down, let guys experience this is what we're going to do to win. And you better prepare yourself week in and week out that this is what is expected. He has created a winning culture. It's good to see.
Bears improved to 7-3 on the season. They beat the Vikings 19-17. We need to take another break here on After the Whistle, because coming up next, we'll hear from Bears head coach Ben Johnson. All right, back here on After the Whistle. Nguyen, Pat the designer, former Bears QB Jim Miller hanging out with you. Want to remind everyone that is watching on our social platforms, we will also be moving to Fox 32 Chicago right after the NFL on Fox postgame show, where Luke Canellis and Cassie Carlson will also be joining you. Let's listen in on Bears head coach Ben Johnson after their 19-17 victory over the Vikings.
Proud of the guys. 7-3. That's nothing to scoff at, and as ugly as it can be at times, I mean, this group's just proven time and time again that when it's close there in the fourth quarter, that we're capable of finding a way. So, first division win on the road, and really proud of the guys for how they fought there at the end. So, open it up from there.
What did you think of Renee's return? Just the jolt you guys needed at that time?
Absolutely. I mean, I think exactly what you just said. We absolutely needed that. You've kind of been waiting for one of those from him, to be honest with you. He's come really close a number of times, and then he was able to capture it on the bounce there and got us right there on the cuff of field goal range. We're just a little bit out of it, and we're able to run it just enough to feel good about our kick from there. So, you know, he got one of the game balls because of that. Very well deserved.
What's to say about Tyrell that he was able to come back and hit the game winner after getting missed earlier in the quarter?
Yeah, well, that's who he is. You know, he's a high percentage field goal kicker anyway. So, you know, I've got a lot of confidence in him. He's proven that over the course of the season, and really, he's been doing this for a long time. So he doesn't let things, one miss, phase him. You know, we know it's high likelihood he'll make the next one, and so he really kind of embodies what we are as a team. Very resilient.
You mentioned that word resilient. There's a couple of situations, like DJ drops a pass over the middle, the next play, Colson catches the 25-yarder. That happened throughout the game. What accounts for the resiliency of this team-wide?
Yeah, well, no, I think you know, I think they just understand that we are really talented, and so it's just a matter of time before someone's going to make a big play for us. And so we've got playmakers on offense, defense, and special teams, and someone's going to show up and end up giving us the spark that. So yeah, it was great to see Colston come alive there. We really needed that one as well. You know, give the Vikings a lot of credit because. As always, they make you earn every little bit, every play. You got to be on your mess, and so that's what a Flores defense does, and that was certainly the case here today as well.
Best catch of the game might have been Gayshawn's interception. What did you see on
Yeah, no, as a huge one for us right before halftime. You know, they're knocking on the door, scoring range, and you know, he was the game captain here this week. He was the guest captain, and so, you know, I know it means something to him going against his former team, being able to haul one down. But really good coverage. He's so long that he's able to knock balls away or haul them in, you know, and so we definitely needed that one.
And you mentioned it was an ugly win, and you guys have had some that have come down to the last minute or so. But what do you make of where your team's at, where you're, regardless of how you got there, you're 7-3, and that's a good spot?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's ups and downs in every game. There's a few things you wish that you were a little bit cleaner on over the course of it. You know, I think we had a legal formation on one and things of that nature, a few drops mixed in there. Just those are the ones that you get, you know, disappointed in, because those are more self-inflicted than they are anything else. And so, you know, when it's, like I said, when you play a tough team like that, you need to be on your mess as much as you can, because they're going to make some plays themselves, which they certainly did in this game. So, you know, it was very reminiscent there of the first game where we ended up having a lead and then allowed it to get interesting there. And you know, we felt like we didn't make enough plays there in the first game to earn that victory. And so this one we did. So I do think that shows growth as a football team.
What does it mean to you to be 7-3? You guys could wake up tomorrow morning first place in the division.
Yeah, I mean, guys, we're mid-season right now, so we're not even looking at that. We've earned 7 wins so far, and we're really looking for the opportunity to go 1-0 next week.
We talked to guys in the locker room talking about how this win shows kind of the belief they have in each other, kind of those intangibles that good teams have. Do you see it that way?
There's no question. Yeah, I think we've proven a number of times here this year that one of these phases is going to come through for us. You know, it's Cincinnati game, offense was kind of carrying the banner there that game. You know, I thought defense really did a great job here today. They've done that for the course of the season for the most part. You know, special teams comes through for us when we really need it here today, and so we kind of just cycled around on who's stepping up to the plate and bringing us the win. And I think that's what good teams do.
A lot of people are saying, you know, when they left enough time for you guys after they scored, a lot of people have watched this team are thinking, okay, this is the kind of team that can come back. Do you have time to even think about that in that moment? Like, they're leaving us too much time when they come back here?
Well, yeah, I feel really good about that situation, regardless of the kick return. 50 seconds, 3 timeouts. We've been there before. We practiced that situation. I think it's where our offense is playing very comfortable football right now as well. So, yeah, I think we felt pretty good going into that one, regardless of that return.
Back here on After the Whistle, Tina Nguyen, Pat the designer, Jim Miller. Growth as a football team. You just heard from Bears head coach Ben Johnson there. Jim, what stood out to you from Ben's comments post-game?
Well, I just think you see it's a much smoother operation. Like he said, Minnesota can bring a mess. And what did he mean by a mess? They bring a lot of blitzes. They bring things you're not prepared for, even game plan wise, and you got to be able to handle it. Go back to week 1. Think all the false starts. Think of all the illegal formations. Yes, there was one today that coach brought up, but Minnesota brings enough of a mess. So you better have your mess together in order to defend it and go against it. And I just think overall, it's a much smoother operation. You see guys that they're prepared, they're calm, they're relaxed, when probably earlier in the year they were overwhelmed in the situations that they were put in. Now you don't see that. Hey, we're at every play, we're going to deal with the cards that we're dealt, and we'll deal with anything that is dealt us by the other team. And I think you see that. That is maturity. That is growth of a team that handled their business on a road. And what coach said could bring a hot mess, Bears dealt with that mess all day long. Had a couple disruptions, but the Bears were able to do it and get it done. That is growth of a football team.
You mentioned that first game there. I believe it was 12 penalties for 127 yards, man. I mean, Pat, growth, right? A lot of growth from this football team, but also the culture is changing here. Jaquan Brisker talked about it on Friday. I was talking to another player in the locker room. He said Ben Johnson has really instilled a ton of belief and confidence in this team, that any guy on that team can go out there and make a big play. Last year, that was a completely different story. He told me, you know, you almost kind of didn't want to go out and make a big play because you did not want to be the one to mess things up for the team.
Yeah, listen, it's a completely different culture that this Bears team has right now. I mean, if we're being honest, the fact that they were willing to take a chance on a guy like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, not only take a chance on him, but put him in a position to be a key piece week in and week out. A couple of plays today, right, where C.J. Gardner-Johnson is getting involved in blitzing the quarterback, getting into the face. The interception that ends up happening in the end zone to Nashawn Wright, I believe it was. No, it was the Kevin Byard one, I'm sorry, where, it's CJ on the blitz off of the edge. They got to focus on CJ, which means you're leaving Grady Jarrett with a one-on-one opportunity here. Grady Jarrett finds a way to get to the quarterback and put a late hit on him so that ball doesn't get to where it needs to go to, right? Like, the culture of this team, you're putting guys who weren't on this team at the beginning of the season in that position. It truly is about building the trust with the guys that you have in the building. And I think, to me, the number one thing that I love about this is Ben Johnson is not shying away from putting guys in a position to go out there and be great. Cairo Santos was a perfect example of a time where you could have said, we need to run this football again. We need to get this done. We need to get closer. Ben Johnson's like, call the timeout at 4 seconds. We're going to win this game on the back of Cairo one way or the other. And you found a way to get that done. That's a completely different culture than what we saw from this team in years past, where you didn't want to trust the kicker to be in that position.
Final few minutes here on After the Whistle on our social and digital platforms. Once again, reminding everyone, tune into Fox 32 Chicago, where Luke Canellis, Cassie Carson will also be joining you. I want to get in one more viewer comment here. Brandon Green says, are close win games the expectations for this year? It feels like we played down to the Vikings today. We had some drop and some missed passes that are abnormal. Jim, your thoughts?
No, I don't think they're playing down. Anytime you play a division game, those are normally going to be your toughest battles. They know you very well. You know them very well. Granted, everybody say, well, Ben Johnson's a new coach. No, they know Ben Johnson. He was in the division last year as a play caller for Detroit. So they know each other. So they're always going to be tighter games. They're going to come down to the end. And as we know, the division's tight as it is. Green Bay's fighting for it. Bears are putting their best foot forward, and certainly the Lions, have the stranglehold on it. We'll see how it shakes out. Bears took care of business tonight, and that's what they need to do. We need to create a winning culture to expect wins in the division.
Taking care of business today, beating the Vikings 19-17, first divisional win of the season. Bears now 7-3 and currently first in the NFC North. Thank you everyone for tuning in on our social and digital platforms. Tune on over to Fox 32 Chicago. Luke Canellis joining you on After the Whistle.
Air we breathe? Tell City Hall. Stop the sports betting tax now. Sports Betting Alliance is responsible for the content of this advertising. Good day, Chicago.
Yeah, Bears just keep winning games. Devin Duvernay taking over for Caleb Williams and playing the role as finisher in this one. Cairo Santos, that is, with the walk-off field goal, and the Bears a 19-17 winner. Welcome back to After the Whistle. Lou Canellis, ESPN Radio's Pat the Designer, alongside in studio. Let's bring in former Bears quarterback Jim Miller. He is on Zoom. We will also hear from Cassie Carlson in Minneapolis coming up. You normally see this show on Fox 32 Chicago's digital and social platforms after every Bears game. Today we are bringing you a special post-game coverage show here on Fox 32 Chicago, and for good reason, boys. Guys, the Bears win another one at the end. I don't know when it's ever going to end. Bears controlled the game throughout, almost gave it away again to the Vikings, got bailed out at the end by their special teams. Special teams had a rough game today. Jim, I'll start with you. You played in the NFL. Bears have talked about how they're believing. And at what point does the belief wear off? Does the magic wear off? Or could it carry a team all season long?
Yeah, I think that's starting to settle in for Ben Johnson. You know, he kind of called out the locker room a few weeks ago that this needs to be, you know, good teams are really player-led. And he was really calling them out about their practice habits, how they prepared for games. The team responded accordingly. Then they go out. They're now the second best rushing team in the National Football League. They've got these great come-from-behind victories, and I think they're starting to believe. You know, when you've got already these come-from-behind victories under your belt, it's by no mistake you go on the road today in Minnesota and you pull out a victory when you're behind. This time it happened to be special teams that made the play, but the Bears will take it. But I think even up to that point, the Bears managed this game beautifully. At times it wasn't pretty, but they managed the game without the gaffes, all the miscues of what they've done earlier in the year. It was a much smoother operation on the road to get their first division victory. They do believe.
All right, Pat, you're always inside the locker room alongside Cassie Carlson, who I said we'll bring in momentarily. You talk to the players. Yeah. There's this sense of belief that, hey, man, if we're close enough to still win it.
No, 100%. And I think you saw that on the sideline. Going back to the Giants game last week, I looked at the faces on Brian Burns when they went to those guys, and it was like, oh, we're going to lose this game, aren't we? On the flip side of that, you see a very different Bears team who looks like, hey, we absolutely believe that we can win this game. If you give us time left on the clock, we are the team that can find a way to win the game with time left on the clock. And that's a very different mindset. And when you talk about the belief that this team has in itself, that can carry you a very long way, that confidence that we've seen from this Bears team this season. I'll go back to last season. When you see how Washington went all the way to the NFC title game, it was based off of and built off of a bunch of games very similar to this. It doesn't always have to be beautiful. It doesn't always have to be pretty. And Lou, I'll tell you this, in divisional games, I don't expect it to be beautiful and pretty. You usually don't go into divisional games and just beat a team by 45. I get it. Some people are going to look at the Vikings and say, this was a down game for you. But this is a big game for the Bears to come away with the win. First divisional win, and a team that, to me, really said, you know what? We're not going to lose in the fashion that we did in this game in week one. We're going to go out here and we're going to get this job done like we have the past week.
I hate to call games must-wins, but I'll tell you what, at this point in the season, it was a season-saving game for the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. And as you touched on, the Bears needed a win like this on the road in the division where they have been just awful the last few years against a hostile environment. I want to bring up the head coach, Ben Johnson, because you talked about changing the culture. That's what this man has done. Yeah. He has turned this team into a winning culture now. He has changed the narrative, and this was Ben Johnson moments ago when he met with the media.
Proud of the guys. 7-3. That's nothing to scoff at, and as ugly as it can be at times, I mean, this group's just proven time and time again that when it's close there in the fourth quarter that we're capable of finding a way. So first division win on the road, and really proud of the guys for how they fought there at the end. So open it up from there.
What did you think of Renee's return? Just jolt you guys needed at that time?
Absolutely. I mean, I think exactly what you just said. We absolutely needed that. You've kind of been waiting for one of those from him, to be honest with you. He's come really close a number of times, and then he was able to capture it on the bounce there and got us right there on the cuff of field goal range. We're just a little bit out of it, and we're able to run it just enough to feel good about our kick from there. So, you know, he got one of the game balls because of that. Very well deserved.
What does it say about Tyrone that he was able to come back and get the game winner after he missed earlier in the quarter?
Yeah, well, that's who he is. You know, he's a high percentage field goal kicker anyway. So, you know, I've got a lot of confidence in him. He's proven that over the course of the season, and really he's been doing this for a long time. So he doesn't let things, one miss, phase him. You know, we know it's high likelihood he'll make the next one, and so he really kind of embodies what we are as a team. Very resilient.
You mentioned that word resilient. There's a couple of situations like DJ drops a pass over the middle of the next play. close and catching the 25-yarder that happened throughout the game. What accounts for the resiliency of this team-wide?
Yeah, well, no, I think I think they just understand that we are really talented, and so it's just a matter of time before someone's going to make a big play for us. And so we've got playmakers on offense, defense, and special teams, and someone's going to show up and end up giving us a spark that. So yeah, it was great to see Colston come alive there. We really needed that one as well. Give the Vikings a lot of credit because, as always, they make you earn every little bit, every play. You got to be on your mess, and so that's what a Flores defense does, and that was certainly the case here today as well.
Best catch of the game might have been Mayshawn's interception. What did you see on that?
Yeah, no, as a huge one for us right before halftime. They're knocking on the door, scoring range, and he was the game captain here this week. He was the guest captain, and so I know it means something to him going against his former team, being able to haul one down. But really good coverage. He's so long that he's able to knock balls away or haul them in. And so we definitely needed that one.
Ben Johnson after the game. Boy, the last time the Bears were 6-3 was 2018. We know how that season ended, with the Bears finishing 12-4 in the regular season. And when they were 6-3, week 11, they went to 7-3, beating the Vikings just like they did today. Cassie Carlson joins us now from Minneapolis. She has made her way outside of the Bears locker room, I assume. Cassie, give us a feel of what it was like in that victorious Bears locker room.
Yeah, another locker room celebration, winning their 5th comeback game of the season. And a lot of the players are like, it's almost like the same message each and every game because they are finding ways to win these games close late in the game. But I heard you guys talking about the belief this team has, and it's very true. They never feel like they're out of the game. 50 seconds left on the clock. They get a big special teams return from Devin Duvernay, and they just go out there and they find a way to win. And that's something that Cairo Santos spoke to today. He said he wasn't going to be fazed after missing that one field goal. He knows he's process driven. He's been hurt this season. He said everything he's gone through this season has been a teaching moment for him. So while they would like to avoid going through another one of these close games in the 4th quarter, they're happy to get these wins. It's important to get their first win in the division. They are 7-3, but something Kevin Byard pointed out is that they're still trying to find that killer instinct. They need to find ways to put teams away because, as you mentioned, there were shades of week 1 late in this game, and they just need to keep their foot on the gas and keep putting up points and getting stops.
All right, Cassie, I also want to bring in Jim Miller, Pat the designer, alongside. Hey, guys, how important is it to win these division games? I touched on it for a second. They were 0-2 going in. I talked about how the Vikings at 4-5 desperately needed a victory. They needed their quarterback to play well, J.J. McCarthy. He did not till that drive at the end of the game. But winning on the road, Jim, having been a former quarterback in this league, winning on the road in the division, huge importance, right?
Yeah, I think when you're indoctrinated into the National Football League, you're told as a player, your best route to the playoffs is winning your division. And obviously, your division opponents better than any team. You play them twice a year. And I just even in my days as a Chicago Bear, I felt that we owned Minnesota. I always felt that offensively we were going to, whether it was on the road or at home, we were going to put up big numbers. And they kind of knew it too when we came to town. And so we were kind of always in their head a little bit. And I think that's a part of it too. There's a gamesmanship, and the Bears are starting to get that back. But in order to do that, you got to get a win. And the Bears have now done that. They split, obviously, with Minnesota. They've got a couple of debts to pay yet this season with divisional opponents, and we'll see if the Bears can get that done. But, yeah, win your division, that's the fastest route to the playoffs.
Yeah, and these are double wins. That's what I always look at them as, right? It's not only a divisional win, but it's a win that you could put another win for you in the conference as a whole. Bears now move to 7-3. Gives you an opportunity tonight possibly to not only have your first win in the division, but also take over first place at the same time, still have a game versus Detroit, still have 2 games versus Green Bay. Those are a little ways away. You can only take care of this one. But to me, like, getting this first one, it really sets you up, and it showed you that the Bears understood the message that Ben Johnson was putting out the entire week of the importance of these divisional games, right? Minnesota coming into this was 2-0. They beat the Bears today. They're 3-0 in the division. You still got a really good chance to go on a run here. So it's not like this game.
He nails the 48-yarder to win it. Cassie, do the players inside the locker room, did anyone talk about the possibility of waking up tomorrow morning alone in first place in the NFC North? No, I think we lost Cassie Carlson, who was on the field. You can see her right there. She's at U.S. Bank Stadium, but apparently she can't hear me anymore. But, hey, Jim, do you think players amongst themselves, let's say that Cassie says, no, they don't really talk about it to the media. Do the players amongst themselves talk about the possibility of leading the NFC North? All right, now we're going to go back to Cassie.
So I can't.
No, we're not going to go back to Cassie.
How about we hang here? How about we hang here?
Well, you know what, Pat? I've asked the question twice. I'm not going to ask it a third time. We're going to go to a quick commercial, and then when we come back, we're going to get it together audio-wise, and we're also going to bring you Caleb Williams as we continue with After the Whistle here on Fox 32 Chicago.
French toast.
Bears are now 7-3 through 10 games this season. That's their best start since 2018. They win today over the Vikings on the road in Minneapolis. Pat, the designer from ESPN Radio, Lou Canellis, Jim Miller, former Bears quarterback, joining us via Zoom. And I'm going to start with you, Pat, before we go to Caleb Williams. We'll get to Caleb Williams' postgame in just a second. You go to the press conferences. You'll be at Hallis Hall if the Bears are available to the media tomorrow. And if they're not, you'll wait until Wednesday. But you assume that when they go to work tomorrow, they will have watched this game tonight between the Lions and Eagles. And if the Eagles come through, they're going to have a little extra juice in the tank knowing that they're sitting atop the NFC North, right?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I think the big thing right now that I love that Ben Johnson says is they're watching. They know that they want to see this game, but they understand there's a lot of season left. It would be great for you to be up in the division, first place right now in the NFC North. That's a win in Ryan Poles' book and Ben Johnson's book in any way. But you got to focus on the wins that you're getting, continuing. And can you continue to win this way? It's going to get a lot tougher with the schedule you got coming up.
Hey, Jim, before we go to Caleb Williams, let me bring back Jim Miller for a second via Zoom. Jim, how good are the Bears? And I want you to compare the Bears to the rest of the teams in the NFC North. The Packers got away with one on the road at New York today. Jameis Winston doesn't throw that interception. They lose again. We'll see what the Lions do on the road against the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles tonight. We just saw what the Bears did to the Vikings in their house. How good are the Bears?
Yeah, I think the Bears right now are the second best team in the NFC North. And in order to become the best team in the NFC North, they got to take care of business and knock off the Detroit Lions. Detroit can still average a lot of points offensively. You know, Jared Goff, certainly, even with Dan Campbell taking over plays, didn't they just ring up 44 points the other day? So yeah. I'd say they're the best team when you look at Detroit. But I do think the Bears are the second best team in the division. To me, Jordan Love is still a little bit shaky as a quarterback, and I think J.J. McCarthy, we just witnessed that. He's not to the level of what Caleb is. Caleb can make more plays, and I do think for Caleb, once he puts it all together, he will be the best quarterback in the NFC North. Jared Goff has really ascended as a player, even gotten better as he's become a Detroit Lion. He leads the league in completion percentage right now. That's where Caleb's got to be. So he's got a little bit to go, but when it's all said and done, Caleb will be the best quarterback in the NFC North, and they will be the best team in the NFC North, but they've got to prove that against the Lions.
All right, Jimmy, Bears didn't need the Caleb Williams magic at the end of this football game, even though we saw Houdini a few times, you know, get out of trouble against the Minnesota Vikings. Here was Williams after today's game.
Something that I've spoke about before, living in the know. It doesn't matter when, it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter who, it doesn't. We got the guys, we got the coaches, we live in the known. And so when our moment comes, when their moment comes, whoever it is on the team, we'll make the play. And so, like I said, we gotta get better throughout the game. But you know, when it comes down to it, we know we're gonna make the plays at the right moment, the right time, and we're gonna go win the game.
For a moment, did it feel like shades of week one? Just that you guys have the lead's gone. Like how did you get it to change the outcome this time around?
Yeah, I think the belief that we've grown within the locker room is what changed. I think that's been the biggest thing throughout this season so far is the belief. And when you have belief, when you have the trust between each other and the guys and things like that, you know, these moments don't seem too big. These moments, you know, they're a lot smaller. Everybody's a lot more focused. Everybody's a lot more poised when something goes wrong. And I think that's what we've done a good job of since, you know, I would say since the first week, is growing that belief, growing that trust. And like I said, we got to find ways to win earlier. It's something I'm going to preach until we start doing it. But, you know, I think that belief and trust is there. I told Duve, actually, but right before the game that he was going to make a play for us this day. And he did just that. And I was actually right there when I saw Duve starting to bend the corner, you know, back to us. And you could kind of see the stampede of people on the right side. And, you know, you kind of feel and see all the space over here and just had a feeling that he was going to make a big play right there. And he did. And, you know, we're super happy for him, super proud of him. And, you know, we're proud that, you know, he's on this team and he's making plays for us like that in those big moments. But, yeah, you know, things going through my head in that moment. Let's go win the game.
Yeah, what were some of the things Flores threw at you? Maybe it was different than you've seen before.
Yeah, he brought a lot of this week. He brought a lot of corner cat and things like that. We were able to either pick it up or get the ball out, or would see him and, you know, throw hot or throw a check down or anything like that. So I think overall we did a good job with that, and that was one of the wrinkles. And then you know, he has a bunch more wrinkles that he's thrown in there. He had about, you know, couple times, you know, throughout the game, you know, dropping back. It's you know, you're trying to figure out the coverage, and a bunch of different guys are flying in different areas, and it's always fun playing versus him because he's such a good D coordinator. He has such good talent over there, and so a lot of respect to them. I think we got the guys. We got the guys that we need to do whatever we need to do to win a game. They're special. They're talented. They make plays for us when it counts and when it matters. And so the belief, like I said, the trust between those guys, between me, is all there. You know, and we've done a good job so far making plays when they counted, and it's been different guys. It's been all of our guys throughout the season so far, and so our trust, my belief, when it comes down to those moments, and when it comes down to big downs, and it's not just the end of the game, I'm going to give them a shot. And we're going to go make a play, and that trust is there, that belief is there. O-line's going to, you know, do a great job blocking, and like I said, I'm going to give them a shot, and they're going to go make the play for us.
All right, Caleb Williams after the game. Jim Miller rejoins us, Pat the designer alongside. Guys, give me a quick comment on Caleb Williams today. Got off to a slow start, 2 for 3, 21 yards in the first quarter, but then he engineered that nice 15-play, 74-yard drive to open up the second quarter. It ended in the Kyle Monongai 1-yard touchdown run. He had a couple of drops we had Luther Burden dropping one, DJ Moore had one go through his arms. Jimmy, I'm going to start with you. He looks so much more confident than he did in the first game against these Vikings, does he not?
Yeah, he's not overwhelmed like he was before. I almost had a heart attack, his first words of that press conference, because he said, stay in the now, and then he talked about the known. Ben Johnson, his mentor was John Shoup, who was my offense coordinator for the Bears, and he would preach constantly, stay in the now. It doesn't matter what happened last quarter, last play, last series. Stay in the now. And that's where Caleb Williams is right now. He's staying in the now. It doesn't matter. Next play. What do I got to do? What's important to me? He talked about dealing with corner blitzes, everything. So I really like where he's at. Ben Johnson's doing a nice job with this young man. I heard everything I needed to hear in that press conference today.
Yeah, it would have been Jim's second heart attack of the day after today's game. I think we all need some heart medicine. No, listen, give that young man his flowers. How he's grown, how he's developed this season. Like, he's been put through everything. He's been put through the ringer here in Chicago. They've said everything that they could say about him, and he's come out on the other side looking like a franchise quarterback for a team that hasn't had a franchise quarterback in years. Like, I absolutely love what you're seeing from Caleb Williams right now. And it's not the fact that he's, you know, going out there every single game and being Superman, putting up 300 yards with 65 yards rushing. It's however we need to get a win. And you know what? It's very easy to go out there and say, I trust the guys I'm playing with. But to actually do it on the field, there's a couple drops you mentioned where it can be very easy to say, I'm probably not going to throw this ball back that way because you dropped that football. Caleb Williams didn't do that. He went out there, he delivered the ball back to guys who made drops earlier in the game that made big plays at the end, and I think he said it perfectly there. We've got the guys to go out here and win these games. They've got the guys to be in every single game this season.
Twice down the stretch, the Bears faced 3rd and 13, and they came through with the big play. We'll talk about that coming up after a quick timeout. We will continue with After the Whistle, more post-game from Minneapolis as well, right here on your home of the Bears, Fox.
Fox.
Welcome back. Bears Conversation continues tonight at 10 o'clock on Chicago Sports Tonight here on Fox 32. Tina Nguyen and I will be joined by Matt Spiegel and Gabe Ramirez from 670 The Score. Then at 10:30, oh, I love this, a happy Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer will join me for a full breakdown of the Bears and Vikings coming up on Bears Game Night Live. Bears schedule gets significantly more difficult from here. Every team but one above 500, the Cleveland Browns. And yeah, they still have 3 divisional games, 2 against the Packers, and then the season finale against the Detroit Lions. Lou Canellis, Pat the Designer, Jim Miller. Jimmy, you look at that schedule. Steelers come to Chicago next Sunday. Aaron Rodgers hurt today. Mason Rudolph had to come in. How do the Bears size up against Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh's playing much better right now because they're in a fight for their life. They keep on stubbing their toe, and they're going to fall out of it, and the Ravens could potentially overtake them. So they're going to get the Steelers' best. And what you forgot to mention there, even though it's easy to say I'm sniffing something brown with the Browns team, but that's the #1 defense in the NFL. Don't forget that. The Browns are really good defensively. So that is a tough schedule for the Bears. They have to mind their P's and Q's, but they're an ascending team. I do like what Caleb said. I trust this team. Coach, he doesn't just have to. Normally when you think of plays, you think of players. He trusts all these players. It doesn't matter. He'll dial up a play for anybody, whether it's DJ Moore, whether it's Rome Odunze, whether it's Swift, Monangai, Loveland, Cole Kmet. Coach trusts them all.
Jimmy, I got to jump in. You got a closing word?
Bear down. Let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
That's going to do it.
Love
For
it.
Pat, Jim, Cassie, and our entire Fox 32 Chicago crew, I'm Lou Canellis. We'll see you tonight, 10 o'clock, Chicago Sports Tonight, and 10:30 on Bears Game Night Live.